Class is officially in session, and today we are doing Ty's Garden 2025 wraps. This is something that I have been planning for a hot second, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So we're gonna jump right into it, starting off strong with Ty's Garden by the numbers. So in 2025, y'all, and it's kind of small because you can't really see, but we have 788 people in the garden. That also includes 93 classes that we have led, 59 partners and collaborations, 30 events and activations, 6 vendor appearances, and 3 podcasts and media features. We did a lot this year, y'all, and I'm going to get in a little bit into what Ty's Garden actually is and what I do, and introduce myself, because I was starting off strong right there. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Tyra. Some people call me Ty. I'm also known as a wellness girly, but also I love movement and self-care. I am also known as someone who studied public health. So I went to University of Maryland and got my master's in public health. And then I also went to Morgan State University in Baltimore and studied health education. So my love for wellness and community also was infused in me becoming a Pilates instructor this year. And I'm the founder of Ty's Garden, which is a local brand and community here in the DMV where I curate and host community wellness events. And so ideally, you can think of Ty's Garden. When you think of Ty's Garden, you think of plants, cafes, movement, community, intentional connections, and self-care experiences. And with that, let's touch on my why. So my why is really rooted in my purpose behind Ty's Garden. This is a picture of me and my grandmother. Growing up, my grandmother had the best yard on the block. The grass was pristine green, the best beautiful bushes, flowers, trees that you can imagine. Her yard always stood out, and then it was always just a safe space growing up. So when I pictured and imagined my healing place, it was always a garden, hence the name Ty's Garden. So Ty's Garden is a reflection of all the things that I love: music, art, culture, connections, and things that help me heal in my healing journey. So that is why we are here with Ty's Garden. Now, with that being said, the word that changed everything this year was consistency. Consistency was my word for 2025, and that was something personal to me so that I could be able to see results in everything that I was doing. However, I quickly learned literally by February that consistency also comes with the word pivot. So my 2 words actually ended up being consistency and pivot, and that just really had everything to do with me just trying to continue to show up for myself and me continuing to hit my goals in the year. So you're going to kind of see how I remain consistent. However, me being consistent also played a role into my goal versus my reality. So one of my specific goals for this year was to have 1 event per month. That was my top goal at the top of the year, 1 event per month. However, that quickly turned into, with all praise to God, multiple events a month. I also was able to hit new cities, new venues, make new collaborations. I also was able to do and pivot virtually, in person, and then just really just spreading Ty's Garden and the beauty of my community all over. And it just literally went into like full on abundance this year. And I'm going to get into everything that we did. But I really wanted to highlight this because this is like one of the main things that stuck out to me when I looked back on how I felt about 2025 a year ago. So here's what actually happened in 2025. Starting off strong, January, I actually had a 2025 wellness reboot, and I was actually able to partner with a company called Tari Blends located in Atlanta. And that was a really good virtual experience that I was able to interview a woman named Brittany Dorsey, who is the founder of Tari Blends. And that kind of really just set the tone for the year. At the end of January, I actually was able to speak at a wellness event hosted by New Friends, Old Strangers in DC. And that was a reminder of me just really putting myself out there. That was my first time speaking in front of like 50 people outside of like work and things like that as it relates to wellness. So I was really just trying to get into my jam of being a wellness person and being in my field. So that was the start. Then as we got into February, I really started to have that mind-body connection, and opportunity started rolling in. So the very first thing that we did was a mind-body connection event with New Percent. And I was actually able to partner with my good friend Brenda, and you'll see Brenda as well as we get in later on. And I want to also intentional connections, which is also what we spoke about during that event. It just kind of lets you really stay connected to the people who are just in step with you along your journey, especially as it relates to business. Moving on to March, my favorite month of the year. I am an Aries. My birthday is on March 22nd. However, March really set the tone. When I tell you Ty's Garden really flourishes in the spring, it literally flourishes in the spring. Our very first event, which was in celebration of Women's History Month, was with Irie Essence, my girl Jamilia. She helped us execute our candle making class for Women's History Month, and that was at not Union Market. Yeah, it was at Union Market in DC. And after that, I also ended up kicking off my vegan brunch series at Binge Bar. Shout out to Gigi and team. I love y'all dearly. That really helped me sprout my creativity through Ty's Garden, through the themes and activations that we did. And with the help of Gigi and her team, we were able to infuse non-alcoholic brands that are located in the DMV area. And I also partnered with a different DJ each experience, each brunch, to give a different cultural feel and just to also bring in different communities together for the brunch activation series. So let's keep going. Now remember, we're still in spring, so April was so beautiful. I really started to understand like community a little bit more, and a couple things stood out this month. The very first event was the Blooming Retreat with Omar Blooms. My girl Michaela, she owns a gorgeous floral arrangement business here in the DMV area. She also does events too. We held the most beautiful event in DC, and it was just amazing, from us being able to curate our own floral arrangements, me leading the wellness segment that really fostered reflection as a woman and how you really just have to put creativity around your journey in life, and that kind of like helped frame like the floral arrangement. And yes, so that really kind of set the tone. So then after that, my good girl Crystal from Hey New Friends, we partnered and created a series called Rooted in Friendship. So Rooted in Friendship, we went to 2 cities. We went to Philly and we were also in Baltimore. And that was so cool because that was my very first event out of town, out of the DMV area. And of course, like I said, I went to school at Morgan. So me being in Baltimore was me kind of like being back home in a sense, because I lived there for so long at school. But those 2 events itself were just amazing. It really helped me understand the importance of building community and also making sure that my events became intentional and also a healing space as well. So make new connections, make new friends, and also foster a little bit of creativity in between. And then lastly, we had our vegan brunch at Binge Bar. DJ C Styles was our DJ, and then we also again included a mocktail brand. Anytime Seltzer was a part of that too. Moving on to May, I really again started to get my momentum in curating my brunch experiences. So we actually did the Hey New Friends in Baltimore in May, and then we also ended up doing, I also had my second podcast interview with Operations Unfiltered with Zernia, my girl Zernia. She is so kind, and that podcast is one of my most favorite podcasts. I really got to touch on me building Ty's Garden and the things that I've learned. So that's also a really good conversation. And then my favorite brunch of all time is going to be the Vinyl Brunch with my girl, Are We on the Air, Benet, chef's kiss. Like, she's amazing. We had such a time that day. And that also was an element of me infusing all the things I like. I collect vinyls, and I actually used to have a vinyl wall in my condo. If you ever been to my house, I had a vinyl wall in my condo, and I really wanted to add that touch again to all the things that I like and enjoy into my community experiences. All right, friends, now we've made it to June. So much happened in June, and I can't even stress that enough. A lot happened in June, but it was so it was amazing. Everything about June was amazing. The very first thing I did in June was I trained with the Jungle Joanna at the Pilates Plug program in Miami. That literally, and we're going to get into this in part 2, that training really set it off for me for really getting into my Pilates bag. And she really just spoke confidence to each and every single one of us. This is the girls up here. I literally have a whole new community of women in the Pilates room just from that single training. And that was probably one of the best things I could have did for myself this year, was going to that training and really just like buying that ticket, getting on the plane and just like, okay, I'm going to get trained. I'm going to be in the moment. I'm going to build community, and I would do it all over again 5 times if I had the opportunity to. So outside of that, came home, and then we also had the Summer Soiree experience at Binge Bar, and I collaborated with so many amazing women here in the DMV who are business owners who have their own communities, and we had a conversation, a panel discussion. It was also led by Culture and Conversations by my girl Brigitte, and we just had a wonderful experience that day. It was really, it needs to be a bigger experience, and I'm working on that, but it was just really intimate, and the conversations that were had about being a woman, running your own business, pouring into your community while also taking care of yourself, it was just like amazing. And shout out to the girlies who I'm so connected with from that experience and the people who came through. That really just like was the moment for me out of the brunch experiences as well at Binge Bar. I'm just still on cloud 9 from that day, but we're gonna have to run it back for sure. So if you want to keep watching and learn more about how the rest of the year went, please like for part 2 and follow, and we're gonna get right to it.